Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you once again for tuning in to the Road to Your Lawn Show. Today we have two people that's coming in from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and his name is David Porter. David Porter wanted to come here and speak with us about how the state of Minnesota treated him as a young man. His mother also said it kept her in depression and the way they snatched her child out her house, and she was not able to physically see her child outside of the custody of Minnesota until he was 32 years old. She said they picked her son up when he was 12 years old for alleged mental disability, and they never gave her child back to her. David said, I went through hell and back, but I'm grown now, and I can speak for myself what really happened to me in Minnesota from the age of 12 to 32 years old, how I was abused, touched, and also misled on Road to Your Life. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you guys David Porter from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good afternoon, David. How are you?
Thank, Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you for contacting the Road to Your Life show. Can I first ask you to give everybody your name, please?
Yes, my name is David Porter, DAVID PORTER.
Can you tell us what made you get in contact with the Road to Your Life show?
Um, Basically, I know you're a journalist. Um, Basically, I'm trying to, get my story out there, and I saw, that you helped a lot of people, and I followed you for some time now. I just decided to reach out to you, to go live. I want to get my story heard. Nobody, deserves to go through what I've been through, and no mother should have to deal with, what my mother had to deal with.
David, take me back when you was 12 years old. What were some of the things you was been challenged with?
So in 1994 and 95, I was taken out of my mother's home for some mental problems. Um, I was molested from the age of 3 until like I was 7. It took a toll on my mental health. My cry out for help, set fires. So basically, my mom tried to get me some help from the state of Minnesota. First red flag. The first thing they did what was wrong was they sent me. Okay, I was supposed to be the first to try to put me into a mental institution at the age of 12, which was way out of line. My mom fought that, and I was able to, get that what they call it, overturned or whatever, get that thrown out. So they sent me to a treatment facility in Utah. Was only They said yes. My father at the time, my mom was married to. So when I was only supposed to be there 18. I ended up being there 6 years. When I turned 18 years old, Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, without no court date, without a lawyer, without giving me the right to defend myself with a lawyer, anything like that, they made a decision to keep me, sort of, what do they call it, commitment. They did what they wanted to do, basically, without no knowledge. I was supposed to go home, but they refused to. And
So you
ever
telling me,
since,
David, from 1995, when you was 12 years old until you got 18 years old for 6 years, they kept you inside
hmm
a treatment program, institutionalized.
hmm
For what charges were they holding
yes,
you on?
mm, there was no charges, just mental. I had a mental disability. That's all.
Did you catch any more issues, or did you do any other things while you was still there to keep you there for 6 years?
No, they put
Were
me
you wrote
on.
up for behavior problems?
No, they put me on medication, that I didn't need. So it had a lot of side effects. They basically they lied on me just to keep money in their pockets to stay in the system. And it was 19 years. Like I didn't get out until I was like 32. They just did what they wanted. They tried to kill me basically. Like the medication I was on I can't remember the name of it. I was on, the highest dose. They could have killed me. Like I was walking around with high blood pressure and high cholesterol at the same time. And it was God that I didn't pass away. God kept me. And I could feel it. Like when, I was walking around, I could just feel my heart beating fast at all 24/7. Yeah,
Wow.
from all the medication.
How often were you able to see your mother? Was your mother able to come see you on a regular basis?
Mm, yeah, she was able to, and not as much. But I also like to add when she first saw me in Utah, ma'am, she to be strong for me, she held back tears.
How old were you with the first time your mother was able to see you? From 12 years old, I know you told me it was a time period that you was not able to see your mother.
I was 13 years old.
So for a whole year, you was not able to see your mother.
Could you repeat that, please?
For a whole year, you was not able to have be able to physically see your mother.
Yes, and yes, and when she saw me, to be strong for me, she had to hold back tears because I was on so much medication, I gained so much weight, she didn't even know who I was.
Wow. How did that make you feel, David, at 13 years old?
Repeat that, please.
How did that make you feel at 13 years old? You snatched
I
out
was
your home.
I was oppressed, I didn't understand. I was hurt, didn't understand, I didn't understand because nobody understands until it happens to you. Like it's hard. It's been hard. It's been hard. I'm making it, by the grace of God, by prayer and fasting, but it's not easy.
Do you mind if I speak to your mother for a moment?
Repeat that,
Can I
please.
speak to your mother?
Yes, hold on. She's going to get some, you know, tissue
Tissue.
or whatever. She'll be right back. Yes.
David, you alleged between the age of 3 and 7 years old, you were raped. Who were you raped?
My uncle.
Can you hear me, David?
My uncle.
Can you hear me?
My uncle. Yes, I can.
So your uncle was raping you between the age of 3 and 7.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. She wants to speak with me now. Thank you.
Can I speak to your mother, please?
Yes.
Good afternoon, moms. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Thank you.
Can you give us your name, please?
Yes, my name is Elizabeth Wade.
Can you take me back to 1994 um, with your son David? Or matter of fact, let's go back to 3 years old. When I spoke to you earlier, you said you was a very protective mother and you did not allow your kids to stay at other people's houses because you didn't want nothing to happen to them.
Yes,
David alleged between the age of 3 and 7, he was being raped. Can you tell us about that?
he was, yes, between the ages of 3 and 7, he was molested. And he, I found out through a psychologist that he was molested because he was doing, setting the house on fire. He, just doing a lot of things that some 4 or 5 year olds wasn't doing, swallowed a penny, just doing things to get attention. And because I was working, trying to, provide for my family, I was a single mom at the time. And, I did everything to try to, make sure that they're safe. And I didn't let them spend the night at nobody's house and nothing like that. And at the time, my brother was watching my children while I was working. And
So
I
your
found out
brother,
through the psychologist that he molested my son.
did the psychologist, was she able to find out how often or how many times that he was touched?
No, it had to be between the ages of 3 and 7 because he didn't see a psychiatrist until he was like 6. Yeah.
When you found out your brother was molesting your son, what did you do? What was your first reaction?
Well, I confronted my brother, and of course he denied it. And everyone in my family, was upset because they didn't believe, my son, but I
Right.
believed my son, and I confronted him, and of course he denied it.
Were charges ever pressed on your brother?
I'm sorry, step on. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Did you ever press charges on your brother?
No, I didn't
Why
press
why
charge.
did you decide not to press charges?
Well, I don't know at the time why I didn't do it, um, but I should have because it should not have happened. And a lot of times in in our black family, we just deal with things like this, and um, thinking about the trauma that my son has been through, it's taken a toll on him as well as myself. And I wish I had have, done it, but I did not at the
Right,
time.
right.
No.
Okay, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. But you still protected your son. You made sure your son was no longer around him. What take you back to 1994 when David was 12 years old. What made the police come out and remove him from your home?
Well, they said that he was. One thing they would say he was out of control. We were trying to. Me and my husband at the time was trying to get him some help. They wouldn't give us no help. Okay, they waited until he would run away from home. He would um, let's see, run away from home, swallowed a penny. He didn't pass kindergarten. Just doing abnormal things. To try. And now that I look back, I say, oh, he was just doing this to get my attention. Or
Right,
get somebody's attention to let them know that hey, something's going on. I don't know how to tell you. I don't know how to express myself, but I'm expressing myself through anger or through, because he would be angry, he would have behavior problems, all that. And it's just, mentally it messed him up.
right. And
And
that's a
we was trying to,
telltale sign.
put him on medication. No medication would work, and um, state of Minnesota, I guess when he set the house on fire and, you know, um, he did a lot of things that and then what they just said, okay, well, we can't take this no more. We just gonna take him out of the home since and
How
I
old
was
was
like,
he when
take
he
him out
set
of
the
the
house on
home.
fire?
I was like, say that again.
How old was he when he set the house on fire?
He was 6, 6. Yeah.
And what did he do? Was he just
I
playing
don't.
with
I
matches?
was at work. I was at work at the time, and my neighbor who lived upstairs, she was watching, my children to make sure that they go to school, get out for school and things like that. And she called me and said the back porch was on fire, and I
Oh,
was like, So I went. I had to leave work to go home to check on the back porch. It didn't burn the house down or nothing like
Right.
that.
He was just
So
playing with fire. He was a firebird.
yeah, yes, he was just
Okay, they
playing with
come and take your
fire. You know,
they come and take your child at 12 years old. Why didn't they give your son back to you?
that's a good question. That's a good question because you said why didn't they give him back to me?
Right.
That's a good question because there's a lot of kids that has mental health problems. Uh, that and mothers and fathers deal with it, but I have no clue as to and that's why we want to reach out because it's got to be something behind this because I've suffered, he suffered. I'm more concerned about him than I am myself because here it is, my brother still walking around doing, everything, and I know it's years behind, but still, he should not have gotten his life taken away from him for 18 years.
As if he
And
committed
I,
a
I,
crime.
I called,
Man, I'm still confused.
I
What?
wrote
I'm still
letters, Jesse.
I'm
I
still
wrote, le-
confused. I'm still confused. Why did they take him out the home at 12 years old? You haven't given me a reason why he was taken out the home at 12.
according to the court records, it was because of his mental health problem. Because he was, what was it? What were you doing? Like laughing. One guy said laughing uncontrollably, and they couldn't control his anger. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um. So they lock him up at 12 years old. Did they give you a time period how long he's supposed to be in
They
there?
said that he was only supposed to be in Utah for 15 months, 12 to 15 months. And that's why at the time we agreed to do this because I'm like, okay, 15 months, okay, we could do this. Maybe he can get the help that he needs, because like I said, we were trying to get help, before all of the violent stuff happened, with the laughing and the fire and the swallowing the penny and him having behavior problems at school and things like that. We were trying to get help from the state of Minnesota, but nobody would help us.
Wow. Thank you, moms. David,
Yes.
how was your life? You supposed to get out in 15 months, and here it is, a whole year don't go
Hold
went
on, let me
past.
switch.
He's gonna switch.
All y'all gotta do is move. Y'all gotta do is swing the t. All y'all gotta do is
Huh?
slide. All you gotta do is slide the camera over. Turn
Okay,
it
just
towards.
slide the camera over.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
You supposed to came home, David, at the age of 13 years old. They
18.
didn't
He
release
was
you.
supposed to come home at 13, though.
Yes. Yes.
You supposed to came home at 13 years old. They did not release you. What was going through your mind?
Mm, I mean, I did learn a lot about controlling my anger. I felt I was ready. I felt I was ready. It's just, I, I believe that there was a lot of people who was like, what, under me who basically didn't have my best interests in heart, like social worker, guardian, but I believe they said some things just to keep money in their pocket and keep me in the system, basically.
What is it that you want Facebook to know about the state of Minnesota and what they did to you?
The criminal justice system is, very corrupt, and Minnesota has a very, how can I say this, a very They have a tendency of doing that, taking families out of their homes,
Black family.
black families. Yeah, like, I can't even count how many stories I've heard. You know, just want
And you
want people to know. Minnesota. People say Minnesota is a great place to raise. No, trust me, Minnesota has really caused a lot of trauma. I also like to add, Miss Ryder, too. At the age of 19, I was strip searched as a minor. I like to add that too.
so they strip search you at 19 years old
Hmm.
for
Yes,
what?
it was. It was when I was going. How they have you stay somewhere while you're going to court. So I went. It
Uh,
was in Woburn, Minnesota. It was at like a. I don't know. Maybe I think it was. I think it was kind of like a jail, a holding jail or something like that. While I'm going to court. So yeah, they strip search you.
did anybody touch you while you was locked up for all those years? Was you molested
No,
inside the system?
no, not sexually, but I was physically restrained for no reason. I was held to the floor against my will. And nothing was done about it. So how they take you to the floor and restrain you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were cowards. They did it behind my back. Asked me to leave the area. Then one guy threw me to the floor. And nothing was done about it. It was my word against theirs. I've been through so much. It's God that I'm still here. I just want people to know, you know, about the state of Minnesota. They're racist as hell.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I like the way you said that. I had to laugh. So, David Porter, you hear, you express what happened to you. We still don't understand why the state of Minnesota would keep you locked up from 12 years old to 32 years old. That's almost 20 years. Why would they
Hmm.
keep you locked up for 20 years, 19 years? I'm still baffled about that. It had to be something that happened, a reason why. Yeah, nobody gave me a reason why they would keep an innocent child with a mental disability locked up for 19 to 20 years.
I, I don't know myself, man.
This is why we're trying to get all of the help that we can. I contact Oprah. I contact Hillary Clinton. When she was in office, I contacted. I just said Oprah. I contacted Jesse Jackson. I contacted some of the pastors that are in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis because I was really trying my best to uh see what I can, the help that I could get because it's not making sense. And how can you guys uh make an agreement about my son, without me?
Right.
They
Moms,
just took over.
did you fight the courts to get your son back? Like,
I
how
did.
did you
I did. That's why I contacted all of those people because I'm like, how can they just do this without, I didn't sign over no parental rights. My parental rights was never signed over to the state of Minnesota. I didn't sign him over to say, okay, well, you can deal with my son, you can have him. I can't deal with this that much. No, I didn't do none of that. I didn't sign no papers saying none of
is,
that.
is David your only child?
No, I have another son and a daughter.
How did they feel
He
about
is
their
the
brother?
middle child.
How did they feel about their brother being taken away for 20 years?
They feel some kind of way.
That's really, it's so strange to me that the state would take your child from you that haven't committed no crimes and lock them away for 19 to 20 years. I'm so
Exactly. Yeah.
wow. What is that you want to say to the state of Minnesota?
Well, I just like to say that they are very corrupt and they really need to stop taking kids out of the home. There are children that have mental problems, but it doesn't give you a right to take a child out of their home just because they have mental issues. And they were going to put him in a adult mental institution. And me and my husband was like, no, he needs to go somewhere where he could still go to school, where he could graduate, where he can have a social worker, have somebody he can talk to. They didn't have anything for youth at the time in the state of Minnesota. So that's why they took him out of my home and took him to Utah. They flew us to Utah to see if we would like the facility. And we agreed, well, he's only going to be there for like a year, maybe 15 months. I have it on record saying that he was only supposed to be there for that long. When it's time for court again, they kept my son in Utah for 6 years.
Under what reason? For what reason?
I I have court. I mean, I have records stating, you know, they made the decision on their own for whatever. I don't know if it's
What
because his
decision? What ground?
behavior. If it, I don't know, they were going by what the doctors were saying, what the psychologists were saying, that he's having behavior problems. He's had launching out. Who wouldn't launch out? Because you taking him out of his away from his family.
Wow.
So who wouldn't launch out? It's
Right.
not like he's a criminal. It's not like he killed somebody or murdered somebody or
Right.
raped somebody.
Right. That is so weird to me. That is really weird to me. David,
Yes.
how old are you now?
38. I'll be 39 next Tuesday.
How did you get introduced back into society? Because you left at 12 and then you come back at 32 years old, 20 years later.
I'm glad,
How, huh?
I'm glad you. I'm sorry. I'm glad you asked me that because I was going to add. My mother. They never. When I was in the system, they never even taught me. No, they didn't even teach me world things. There's a lot of things my mom had to teach me over again.
Like, what's some of the
They
things
don't
she had to
teach
teach
you
you?
like normal how to survive. They don't teach you normal life. And I also like to add, I've overcome like a lot of obstacles. They told me I never have my own apartment. I never go to college. I can't even count how many apartments I got in my name, and I'm about to be a business owner, about to have my own car. They told me I never do that stuff. This is why I'm
Wow.
trying to, get my story told. Like I've been treated wrong for too long. Like nobody deserves to go through the trauma or my mother. I mean, it's wrong. It's
I don't
beyond.
I know I'm not no doctor, psychiatrist or anything, but you don't constitute a behavior where you should have been locked down for 20 years. I mean, I don't see it. Like, I don't see the reason why they kept you incarcerated for 20 years.
Well, in the state of Minnesota, they had this law that they had passed, with people with into that had disability, that you will lock them up for a long time if they, did something or whatever. But the thing is, he didn't do anything. And then, like about maybe 2 years before he got released, a lot of people started suing the state of Minnesota because they started, putting people in St. Peter's, Minnesota, and just leaving them there. And he was in the state of St. Peter's as well.
Wow.
And I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay. When he got to St. Peter's, they wanted, and I was like, no, they wanted to put him on what is it?
Medication, more
A whole
medication.
lot of medication and saying that you know I'm like, no, 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 no. I was like, he's not a criminal. He's not, you know uh he's done anything wrong. So I was trying to figure out how did they do this to my son. So this is
If,
why.
if your son was in Utah and they had to pay for you to fly out, how was you able to visit him?
They paid for us to visit him. I couldn't even keep a job because I had to go back and forth to court, back and forth to Utah. They would pay like maybe for 1 year. They would pay us. We could get 4 visits, 4 or 5 visits for 1 year. They would pay for our hotel. They'll pay for our flight, food to eat, all of that, and it was about money. That's what it was about.
Is
Because
there
they
anything that
flew
show?
me and my children and my husband. They flew all of us out to Minnesota every time we wanted to see David. But I
What
ended up
is it?
moving to Minnesota. I mean to Utah. But go ahead.
Oh, you end up moving to Utah?
I'm end up moving to Utah. Yes, because I wanted to be closer to my son.
Wow. What is it that you would like to say to the state of Minnesota before we go?
I'd like to just say that I pray that justice is served for my son because he needs to be have justice. Nobody should be locked up for 18 years the way he did, and it was nothing but God because he switched lawyers, and the lawyer I moved to Chicago, and I believe if I hadn't moved to Chicago, David would still be in Minnesota. They wanted the lawyer asked me I want. They called David. David called me, said, "Ma, I got a new lawyer. He gonna call you." And I said, "Okay." The lawyer called me and asked me what did I want. I said, "I want my son home." People with disability have, they live with their parents all the time. He been locked up for 18 years. So he said, "Okay, we're gonna go to trial. We're gonna go to court and we're gonna fight for that. And if they say no, we might have to go to trial." They said no. So we went to trial, and it was nothing but God. I give him all the glory because um, when we went to trial, I had everything in place in Chicago, all the
What are we trying
resources,
to
everything
accomplish
that they.
today, ma'am? They want to know what are we trying to accomplish. We got to get through because we got another interview coming on. What are we trying to accomplish? What do we want the state of Minnesota to know? We need to know what are we trying to accomplish.
I would like to accomplish and hope and pray that nobody else child would be left behind like that. Nobody else child would be able to suffer the way my son has suffered.
Thank
Nobody
you.
else, child should be taken out of their home. Yes, there's some,
Someone want to ask, ma'am. Excuse me. Someone want to ask, what is David disability? They say up here they want to know. Trina want to know what is David disability? They will accuse him of.
what they said that he had depression, bipolar, schizophrenia. They diagnosed him with all of that. Got schizophrenia, bipolar, uh, depression, PTSD, um, ADHD. They that's what they.
David, in closing, David, what would you like to say to the state of Minnesota before we go? Because we do have another broadcast coming on. In closing, what would you like to say to the state of Minnesota, and what's your goal?
Mm, I just want to say, I'm hurt, disappointed, in y'all actions. I think y'all, I think they need to repent and turn back, turn from their wicked ways, because it's a lot, like my mom said, it's a lot of corruption in Minnesota. And my goal is to, get justice. I want justice, I mean, I need justice because, that my civil rights were violated. I say,
That's it.
even, I could say, as far as race discrimination, Disabilities Act, I even tried to reach out to the Department of Justice. They refused to take my case. I tried to contact news like Fox 9 News in Minnesota, Care 11, WCCO, Five Eyewitness News. Nobody would call me back. I even reached out to Roland Martin, Unfiltered. Nobody, and it makes me feel worse because it's like, yes, it happened, what, long time ago, but it shouldn't even matter. I mean, it happened, and it's still against the law what they did.
Do you feel like you
So
had the opportunity today to share your story?
yes, I want people to know, that the criminal justice system is corrupt and racist.
Is there anything else
I
you would
mean,
like to say to them before we go? Because it's about the time out.
I just want to say, if there's anybody in here who had anybody in this life who's had a parent that had a child that went through what I went through, it hurts, but you will overcome it. It it hurts, but don't let what your past stop you from reaching your destiny, because there is a God out there, and He will set you free. He will comfort you. It's not easy, but all the glory belongs to God, because
Amen.
it could have been worse.
Amen.
I could have been I couldn't have been in a minute. Man,
Amen.
I could have been
Thank
dead in
you,
my grave.
David. Thank you guys for calling in. My timer is telling me the session is now about to close, so I want to go ahead and close it before the camera shut down.
Okay.
Guys, this is David Porter. He was calling in about Minneapolis, Minnesota, where he alleged that he was wrongfully committed for over 18 to 19 years. He went inside a mental institution at 12 years old. He allegedly only supposed to be there for 15 months. They kept him until he was 32 years old. He is so depressed about what he been through. And he wanted you guys to know no one should go through what he went through. And if anybody out there has a child that's going through what David went through, please contact him or his mother. His name is David Porter, also on Facebook, and he can counsel y'all through whatever y'all going through. David?
Sorry, my Facebook is under David Jamel. David Jamel, Jamel. You want to give me your Facebook?
You can also, David, when it's over with, drop your Facebook inside the link in the
Okay.
comments. David Chappelle on Facebook, guys. Watch out for the telltale signs, like David mother said. Telltale signs, if your child has been touched or molested or raped, is your child acting out behavioral problems. David mother said, whatever happened to her son by the hands of her brother caused David to become very depressed and start doing things that was not normal. But it did not give the state of Minnesota the right to come in and keep her child for over 20 years. I'm Rhoda Young, reporting live straight out of Norfolk, Virginia. It was nice meeting both of you.
Nice meeting you too. God
Nice
bless
meeting
you.
God bless you too,
Thank you.
moms. Bye, moms. Can we see you before we go?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. David,
You're
call
welcome.
again, okay?
Huh?
Give me a call me and keep me updated if anything happened for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thanks again for your
You're
time.
welcome. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
What do y'all think, guys, about David Porter's story from Minnesota, Minneapolis? Do you think that they wrongfully kept David inside a mental institution from the age of 12 until 32 years old without no charges? Or do you think David had a mental issue and he was acting out while he was in the facility? What is your thoughts about this? Drop your opinion in the comment. Guys, be mindful that these people do read it, but please be honest. Why do you think he was held for so long? It seemed very unusual for a state to hold a child for 20 years, 18 to 20 years. Do you think something else happened along the way? Or do you think the state was holding David due to some federal funds that the state was getting for having David incarcerated? I'm Rhoda Young Live, where you did sit here first before Wavy News 10, Channel 3, and also Channel 13 News. Guys, stay tuned. Within 30 minutes, we'll be right back. We got breaking news out of Norfolk, Virginia. What really happened to the chief of police? I got the inside details y'all want to know. I'm Rhoda Young, Wendy Williams, baby sister.